Maskell. We're here in Austin, Texas at IT Expo West 2011, and I'm joined today by Mark Hasselman, CEO of vobi. How are you today, Mark?
Doing well, thank you.
Thank you for joining us on the show. So why don't we talk a little bit about who vobi is?
Well, vobi is the evolution of a company called PBX Central, which was a hosted voice provider. Currently is still a hosted voice provider, but we have a lot of voice events that we've seen over the years. In fact, over 1 billion, and we found that users or callers are calling one another over and over and over again. So there's a social implication to the voice call.
Right.
So what vobi does is it takes that voice event, figures out who the caller and the callee are, and combines them in a collaborative session automatically.
Do you find customers to be slow to adapt from regular voice services to collaborative ones?
Well, vobi is not a change in the voice service itself. It's still the same phone, it's still the same caller or callee, it's still the same device. The key is that there's identifying information in the call. So if you call me and we have a relationship, then there's other content that we can bring into the conversation into a client automatically. So instead of me calling you and searching my email for all the emails we've exchanged, or Twitter, or your Facebook page, or something like that, all of that stuff can be brought into the client automatically.
Great. And in terms of the collaborative market in general, what would you say that vobi is really contributing to that?
Well, the biggest pain point for the enterprise is efficiency. Okay, so it's all time and speed, because time is money. And in a social model, if you're constantly communicating with the same people over and over again, there's an opportunity to be more efficient bringing content into that conversation. So if you and I have a call and there's things that we're doing again and again and again to bring content into that conversation, why not do it automatically? We already know who you are, we know who I am, so let's bring that information together. So the biggest pain point is the efficiency factor, and we overcome that by seamlessly bringing that content into the conversation.
So you just mentioned efficiency, but what other areas are you guys addressing in the market?
Well, there are really 3 segments. There's the enterprise market. So the enterprise has a pain of efficiency or speed. The end user, who might be the social user, has an issue of lots of social content. It's all in these different places. And then the vendor or the marketer has the issue of context. I have 2 people talking to one another, so now I have a very powerful context to introduce some kind of message or an ad.
What challenges would you say that service providers are running into to deliver these collaboration tools?
Well, generally collaboration has been, it's been around for a long time. But the problem has been so far is that it's a destination. It's a place that you go to collaborate. And so because it's a destination, every time you have to go to a new place. Well, in the vobi model, the collaboration comes to you with the voice event. So the voice event is a natural thing. It's really the most high bandwidth social medium that we have. So why not bring the collaboration to that event rather than creating collaboration as a destination?
And how does vobi facilitate contextual collaboration?
Well, once we're talking to one another, we have a context. And the context is probably what we talked about, or the content is probably what we talked about before. Because conversations are really a continuum. They don't just start and stop the beginning and the end of each call. They kind of continue on. So what we do is we bring content into this context. You and I are the context on the call. And the content that's brought in is our content, and we're going to talk about it, and we're going to interact on it in the ways that are meaningful to us. vobi doesn't really take a stand on that. It just brings it in and lets people do what they do with their content.
How do you see the collaboration market changing? How does vobi plan on adhering to the changes?
Well, the collaboration market needs to look at who are the real users. And it's not a system, and it's not a device, and it's not some piece of software. They're people. They're people at the ends of these things. And how do we make a collaborative session more natural and make sense? And so if people are talking to one another, and there are lots of phone calls going back and forth all the time, then it makes sense to bring a collaboration session to that in real time.
Right.
So what we have to do as collaboration providers and in the market in general is take a step back from all of our wonderful technology and think about who's at the end of the line, who's at the end of the wire, who's holding the phone, who's actually collaborating. It's people.
Great. Well, thank you so much for being here today, Mark, and for all of your input.
Okay, thank you.
Take care.